Hello Duda agencies, this is Hans with Termageddon, and in this video I'm going to show you how to set up and resell a Termageddon license to a client. So I have set up a Duda template, and we are going to set this up. We're going to set up a set of policies for a fake company called Reroom. Just for notes here, I do want to note Termageddon is not a legal service provider, and I am not providing legal advice. I am just showing you how to use our tool. For this example, we're going to do a fake company called Reroom House Renovations LLC. This is a company that provides services to anyone in the U.S. offering house renovations, and their website has a contact form on their contact page asking for name and email, and they also have Google Analytics installed. All right, so let's jump into what this looks like. So to get started, you need to go to the App Store and add an app. Here you'll be asked to confirm and make a purchase. As you'll see, you're able to buy licenses through Duda at $38.40 per year, and Termageddon's regular pricing is $99 per year. So I always recommend reselling Termageddon at the full $99 per year price, and I would also recommend charging $100 to $200 setup fee just for taking the time to go through these questions and get the access to your clients so that they can answer any additional questions within the questionnaire, as well as receive updates in the future when laws pass and when their policies are being updated. All right, so we just purchased a Termageddon license through the Duda dashboard. And as you'll see, what we're going to be going through today is answering a series of questions to generate the policies, using the Users tab to share the license with your client, and adding the policy page to the Duda website, and then republishing the site to make sure it goes live. All right, so upon making your purchase, you'll see that we have integrated a series of questions right in the Duda App Store. And then we will put in a fake domain for what the live website will be. So we'll just call it reroom.com. And who owns this? A company. And what is the owner's email address? Please note that this email will be displayed within the website policies. Most people have info at something like that. What is the company name? Where was it formed? We'll say United States for this example. So now, because we're saying the United States, we have questions based around the U.S. And I'm just going to fill this out with the type of legal business entity they are. A lot of agencies do like a screen share with a client, and that's why I always recommend charging a $100 to $200 setup fee just to share the screen and have them answer any additional questions. Where would you like to resolve disputes? This is just whatever county is most convenient for the business owner. I'm located in Chicago, so I'm putting Cook County. Now, what policy would you like to start with first? Most people get at least a privacy policy. A privacy policy is needed if you're collecting as little as an email address on a contact form. A terms of service helps limit your liability as a business owner by stating the rules to using a website. Stuff like, hey, we offer links to third-party websites, but we're not responsible. If you click one of those links and that site's hacked and you get hacked, you can't come back and sue us. And disclaimers are valuable if you offer anything that can be seen as health advice, legal advice, if you participate in affiliate programs, or if you display advertisements from third-party advertisers. But for today's example, we're going to go through a privacy policy. So upon creating the privacy policy, you'll see we get brought to a set of questions about how the business operates. And we mentioned earlier in the call that this is a company that offers services to anyone in the U.S. Therefore, what states do you do business in? We will select all. And because we have a contact form on the website, we will say that we could potentially collect the personal information from anywhere in the U.S., so we'll select all there as well. Do you have annual gross revenues of more than $25 million? No. Do you annually buy, receive, sell, or share the personal information of 50,000 or more California consumers, households, or devices? No. Do you derive 50% or more of your annual revenue from selling the personal information of California consumers? No. Have you entered into a contract where your vendors or clients require you to comply with the California Consumer Privacy Act or not? No. All four of these questions are to help figure out if the website, if the business needs to be compliant with the California Consumer Privacy Act, otherwise known as CCPA. CCPA only applies to businesses if you say yes to one of these questions, and that speaks to a lot of how we look at privacy policies, which is, you only want to comply with what you actually have to comply with, so you have, less responsibilities and less things you have to do as a business owner. Do you offer goods or services to residents of the EU? No. Do you monitor the behavior of residents of the EU? Yes, because we have Google Analytics installed, and we may be collecting IP address from people from across the Atlantic Ocean. We may be collecting IP address from residents of the EU. Now, a lot of people say yes here. I'm actually going to say no, just because when we say yes to one of these two questions, this unlocks GDPR, which asks significantly more questions later on in this questionnaire. However, because I'm going through this as an example website, I'm going to say no, just so that we can go through this questionnaire a lot faster. But if you have any with the additional questions, if you do find yourself stuck, just let me know. Hans@termageddon.com, HANS at termageddon.com. I'd be happy to go through a video screen share with you, or answer any questions you send me by email. The next two questions are, do you offer goods or services to residents of the United Kingdom, or do you monitor the behavior of residents of the United Kingdom? And you'll notice those questions are very similar to these, because the EU has GDPR and the UK has the UK Data Protection Act. Both of these are mirror copies of one another, so that's why we ask it separate here, because technically they are separate privacy laws. Now, do you collect the personal information of Canadians? I'm going to say no to this. For this example setup call today, this unlocks Pipetta, Canada's privacy law, which is yet another extensive privacy law that I'm going to refrain from answering, just so that this questionnaire doesn't take, or so that this video doesn't take too long to get produced. But again, if you want me to add videos of me doing yes to those, I'm more than happy to. And yeah, so as you'll see, this very first page was all about figuring out what privacy laws actually apply to a business. So often do I find people putting in things for like CCPA, even though they are at an absolute no to all four of these questions. And that, it just blows my mind that, any good attorney would say, only comply with the laws you actually need to comply with. So you got to find out which ones apply to you first before you can add the disclosures. So now that we've identified all the privacy laws that can apply to a business, we're going to go to next. And you'll see this is stage 2 of the questionnaire, which is identifying all the pieces of personal information your website's collecting. And as we mentioned, we have a contact form on the contact page asking for name and email, so we will select those. And we also have Google Analytics installed, so we'll select IP address, and we'll scroll all the way down to information regarding your interactions with our website. Now, if you also run like ads, like Facebook ads or search engine ads, you'll want to select this as well. But again, because I'm trying to keep this initial video as simple as possible, I'm going to just not address that currently. All right, so now that we've identified all the pieces of personal data that's being collected through a website, we now need to discuss the purposes for why we collect it and with whom we share it with. Now, if you see a lot more questions here, that's because you answered yes to some of these additional questions down here, which require you to make more disclosures. All right. But yeah, we have a simple one, so we're going to just answer the simple questions. So now we have to, on a per item basis, discuss why we collect the information and with whom we share it with. So for name, most people collect name on a contact form, so you can provide services and customer service. I also like to select that we may collect name to enforce our terms of service, as well as to verify customer information, which are kind of catch-alls, because technically you'll be asking people to submit their name and they have to follow your rules, and otherwise you would enforce your terms of service if they're disobeying the rules, and you would address them by their name. Similar in nature, verifying customer information. I don't know about you, but I've had many customers of the past submit an inquiry on a contact form, even though they're already a customer, and technically you would be using that name to verify that customer's information. Last but not least, most people send contact form submissions into some sort of email marketing system to send marketing and advertising. So I'm going to select that we may collect this information for the purposes of marketing and advertising. Now, do we share this piece of information? Absolutely. Most of the time when a form gets submitted on a website, that triggers an email that gets sent to the business owner's email address so they can see the lead's contact information. So what that means is that the website is collecting name and then triggering an email being sent to someone's email inbox, meaning that you're sharing data with email service providers. In addition, we mentioned the fact that we may add name to an email marketing system to send people email newsletters and so forth. And there's many other things that can be listed here. Parties that need to operate the website, hosting providers, content management systems, customer management systems. But again, we're keeping it simple and just saying, hey, when a form gets submitted, it triggers an email. So we need to say that we share it with email service providers as well as email marketing vendors in case we want to send email newsletters to people. Now, upon completing this piece of information, we're brought down to the next piece of information to complete, but I'm actually going to skip that, and I'm going to load up email address. And because we collect and share name the same way we do with emails, I'm just going to load up all the answers we did for name, just making my life a little bit easier. Now, when we complete that piece of information, we go to the next incomplete piece of information, which is IP address. Now, IP address is very often collected for different reasons. It's collected for analytics purposes, perhaps to count ad impressions and verify position and quality of ad impressions. And then every now and then when forms get submitted, IP address may be collected as well, in many ways to prevent spammers from filling out spam emails. So I like to select several of the items that we selected when collecting personal information like name from a contact form, because the IP address often gets collected at that same time. So these are the items I like to select. If I ran ads, I would select counting ad impressions and verifying position and quality of ad impressions, but it's really up to how your website operates. All right, so upon identifying the purposes of why we collect that information, I'm now going to say, yes, we do share this information. We first and foremost share it with data analytics providers because we mentioned that we use Google Analytics. And I'm going to say email marketing vendors, especially if you have like an email newsletter sign up. Oftentimes, email marketing vendors will collect IP address to validate that it's not like a spammer submitting an email subscription form. And that looks good for here. If you do have like Facebook pixels or search engine pixels of any kind, tags of any kind, you may want to say that you may share those data with advertising networks and social networks to run advertisements to them, of course. All right, upon completing that piece of information, we're brought down to why do we collect information regarding your interactions with our website? Most of the time, that's the same reason why you collect IP address. So I'm just going to load up all the answers that we did for IP address. And upon completing that piece of information, we've now answered all the pieces of information of what we collect on the website. And I'm going to click Next. Do we collect and use cookies? The answer to this would be yes, because we have Google Analytics installed. Do you knowingly collect information from children under the age of 18? Well, no. I don't think children under the age of 18 are looking for home renovations. This enacts the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which is called COPA. If your website's targeting children, Termageddon would actually not be a good fit for you, and I'd be more than happy to connect you with a privacy attorney that could facilitate COPA privacy law compliance. All right. Now, do you sell any of the information you collect? Most people say no. Do you use Google Analytics? Yes. Does your website contain links to third-party websites? Yes. Does the website respond to do not track signals? Unless you've heard of do not track signals and have taken the time to implement this, I would go with our recommended answer, which is no. And again, if you have more questions, you can always click on the question mark to read why. How will you notify users of changes to this privacy policy? Our most popular answer is by posting the updated privacy policy to this website, because that's the service we provide. Now, upon clicking Submit, you'll see that you've now completed your privacy policy, and now you can add the widget to your Duda website. So to do that, I'm going to go to Pages. I'm going to create a new page, blank page, title it Privacy Policy. Now, I personally don't like my privacy policy up in the top navigation, so I'm going to hide it And then I am going to insert some stuff into this page. So I always like adding a spacer. And please don't judge me on my poor design skills right now. I think I did 93 previously. All right. Now we're going to add the Termageddon policy widget, which you can double click or add in. And as you'll see, the privacy policy loads. Now that we have the privacy policy added to the web page, we now need to make sure we add a link so that the privacy policy is accessible on all pages. As a reminder, we removed the privacy policy being accessible from the main navigation up top. And that's a personal preference thing. I like to add it down in the footer. So to do this, it's pretty simple. Just go over to widgets, drag over text, or you can do this however you wish. This is more of a styling thing than anything. So I typed out privacy policy, and I'm just going to add a hyperlink to the privacy policy page. And it's kind of a green font. I'm going to change that to white. Again, that's a styling thing. Just make sure your privacy policy is clearly visible and accessible on all pages. You may want to also add consent checkboxes to your contact forms. But for this example, we're just adding a link to the footer. Okay. So we're going to republish the site and take a look at what the results are. All right, so I'm going to scroll on down to the bottom. I'm going to click the privacy policy link. And sure enough, our privacy policy populates. So yeah, that is it. Now, I do want to note, within your Termageddon license, we have a key feature, which is this Users tab. And if you're building websites for clients, you probably don't want to communicate, privacy law updates on an ongoing basis to your existing client base. And that is why we highly recommend using the share button and sharing this license with your client. When you share this license with a client, they will receive an invitation asking them to register and accept the license invite. I'd recommend also sending them an email, just letting them know that you're sending an invite their way. But the great thing about giving a client access to their policies is that they will receive alerts when new laws go into effect, when their policies are being updated, and if there's any sort of new disclosures that are required by new privacy laws that may need additional questions answered within the questionnaire. So yeah, be sure to share a license with your client. This ensures that they get all the access you get, minus billing, basically. And yeah, that is it. Don't forget to charge a setup fee plus the $99 per year subscription fee. And yeah, please reach out if you have any questions. Hans@termageddon.com. HANS @termageddon.com. Thank you very much.